So we are ready. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in here and joining me on my webinar, the first one post-Christmas. We're going to kick off a head start into the new year. And the title of today's webinar is How to Calculate Your Protein Intake for Immediate Fat Loss. And we're going to just dive into this and dig into this, I mean, left and right, full speed today. And when we're done today, no question will go unturned. No question will go unanswered. And speaking of questions, you're welcome to communicate with me down on the bottom right-hand side of your panel. There is a chat bar. If you click on the plus sign, you can simply type in a question, and I'll be happy to answer it. And what I'll probably also do is, at the end of the session today, or the webinar, I will actually let people come on live on a microphone, and you can actually ask me a question live if you choose to. So with that being said, let's get cranked up here. Let's get this thing started. So a lot of people say, well, who are you? What have you done? What have you accomplished? Just a little bit of very brief, and I emphasize brief background info on me. I'm a former full scholarship collegiate athlete, played football. Here's a picture of me. This is back in the '98 season against Florida State, actually. And strength coach. And when I finished playing ball, I lost about 50 pounds of fat and have kind of tinkered and adjusted my physique since then over the last 12 years. And I, after training for probably 10 or so years in the general or in the private sector as a personal trainer, I started submitting published articles and had them published on what was at the time the highest paid fitness website on the planet. By highest paid, I mean they paid their contributors and their writers more than any other virtual website, magazine, fitness publication out there. And I had 24 articles published in a 8-month time span, which is the most ever in the 15-year history of the company. So I'm proud of that. And also, since starting the online business, the online programming, I've had over 100 successful client transformation case studies from actually a little bit over 17 countries now, so I'm proud of that. That's just a quick little tidbit on me. With that, let's get started here. So the whole protein as it relates to the diet, fitness, supplement industry, you got to talk about for a minute, what's the protein obsession? Well, let's talk about that. Well, why is there a protein obsession? And we're going to dig into that right here. Number one, where does this protein love affair come from? And let me pause for a minute and just say that in the over almost 1,000 different people that have actually signed up with me online, and when they have signed up and I've looked at their program, and before I design their new one, I always want to know what they're eating. And the three biggest problems I see with people that sign up that want to burn body fat. When I say people that sign up, I'm not talking about the couch potato. I'm not talking about the person that's, hasn't done anything or has been sedentary the last 8 years. People that sign up with me, 95% of them are people that are in the gym 5 days a week. Are people that think they're eating healthy, that are going to the gym, that are cardioing every day, that are taking supplements. They're people that are trying to burn fat but can't. That's the 95% of the folks that sign up with me. So that's the demographic we're referring to here, just to get clear. Okay, so with all these people, I see three problems. Number one, I see they eat too much protein, way too much protein. Number two, they do way too much cardio, way too much exercise. And number three, they take too many stimulants. They take way too much caffeine, particularly in the form of coffee. Now, we're going to get to those two in a minute, but we're sticking with protein now. So that's where the protein love affair comes from. And another reason is the supplement industry glamorizes it. The supplement industry really glamorizes protein. And not whole food protein, not necessarily chicken breasts, not extra lean ground beef, not necessarily egg whites. What do they glamorize? They glamorize the supplements. They pimp protein supplements, which are in the form of RTDs. RTDs stand for ready to drink. See this image here with these bottles of protein shakes behind this girl? These are RTDs. You don't have to mix a powder. They're already there. They're already ready to drink. So these are popular. People love those. and they love, and then of course the protein powder, which you mix in a shaker like this girl here, and then shots. We've seen protein gel. I've seen like a tube that you can unscrew, and it's got like a, I mean, we've seen energy shots, so they make protein shots. And this is an absolute, this has absolutely brought people's body fat to a screeching halt. And it has been such a pernicious roadblock. And we're going to get to that more in a minute. But these are things that, this is why there's the protein obsession. They've made it look sexy and glamorous, and to think that taking these supplements is the key, okay? And we'll get to that more in a minute. So, like I said before, the two pernicious lies the supplement industry wants you to believe in order to buy more protein powder are, they create the delusion that a protein powder shake is extremely effective at speeding up the fat loss process. Okay, that's what they want to. They want to create the illusion, which is really a delusion, so that society, folks, people in the industry, kids, adults, whoever, they believe that. Okay, that's their job, and it works. And they lead you astray by removing food as the foundation of your nutrition and replacing with protein powder. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I use a protein powder almost every day, but it's just for one meal, and it's the right kind. And I suggest people that follow my program, I put them on different types of protein powder based on the individual. But here's the thing, the supplement companies, and it's important you buy into this, it's important you see the facts in this. They want you to believe. They want you to remove healthy, whole food from your diet, and they want you to replace it with a refined processed supplement. And, you know, back at the start of this webinar a few minutes ago when I said the number one biggest problem I see with people that sign up with me is they're eating too much protein. It's not necessarily because they're eating too much chicken breasts or eating too many egg whites. They're eating, I've seen women that don't even look like they exercise taking protein powder for 3 different meals a day. And you're like, well, when you take it in powder form or in supplement form, you can ingest a lot more of it. Well, you don't need a lot more of it. And as we go today and we proceed forward, I'm going to explain to you why that's hurting you so badly. So let's keep moving here. Now, this is a huge, huge, huge problem. And this is one of the reasons, this is part of the glamorization of the overconsumption of protein powder. Now, I won't say her name, but we've all seen this little girl right here. I'm circling her with my mouse button, and it's not really her fault because she works for the company that does this. She whores out these protein powder supplements worse probably than anybody. There's another little fitness model girl who will show in the next few slides that does really bad too, but I can't blame her because, you know, it's just the company she works for wants her to do it. But I'm going to explain why this is so bad. Now, if you've ever seen her, what she does is they have zillions of recipes on her website or on the website here, and all these recipes, guess what the main ingredient is? I'll give you one guess. Does anybody want to type in the chat here and tell me what that? Anybody want to take a guess at what the main ingredient is? Any takers? Any guessers? Well, I'll tell you, it's protein powder. I mean, if you go on any fitness competitor, figure bikini competitor's Facebook page, you're going to see copious amounts of muffins and bars and what are these cupcakes, protein bars, protein banana bread, homemade protein pancakes, all these different concoctions. And this whole time, by this little lady here and other fitness models like her, that's what they want you to do. They want you to believe the lie. That's the lie in progress. It's better to replace healthy food, whole natural food, with artificial food and supplements. They don't want you to use this 3 days a week or one little tiny bit a day. They want you to use it for the bulk, for at least half, if not more than half of your meals. And we know why. It's to generate more revenue for the company, so you buy more. They make more money. So this whole time, just so you know, you're being groomed. You're being groomed by her and by the fitness supplement industry. And this whole time you're being groomed, you've all been hoodwinked into spending copious amounts of money on protein powder. Protein powder that isn't going to build you more muscle. Protein powder that isn't going to get you leaner. That isn't going to change your body. You know what will change your body? having the right natural whole foods. And maybe a tiny, tiny bit of protein powder, maybe once a day if it's the right kind, but not mixed with into concoctions and baked and other stuff like this. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the supplement companies, they want to keep you fat. They don't necessarily want you to get leaner. I didn't say obese, but a lot of people, the biggest for women, and I can tell you this because I work with them every day, that the biggest demographic or body fat percentage bracket of women this would be addressing would be usually I can't tell you how many women are running 5 days a week, are doing spinning classes, CrossFit classes, treadmill, on the treadmill, weights for an hour, and they're 26% body fat. They're 24% body fat. And if you saw them, you wouldn't even think they exercise. And they're taking, supplement, they're taking protein protein powders like 2 or 3 times a day. Okay? And, and then I've gotten women that don't overtrain as bad, but their bodies don't change. And the first thing I do is yank out all this extra protein powder and replace it with cruciferous, nutritious, leafy green vegetables, multicolored vegetables, and a lean whole food source of protein, non-processed, non-refined. And maybe keep a tiny bit of protein powder in there. If you're eating 6 meals a day, it's tough to eat 6 whole food meals. You might need 1 meal in the form of a shake. There's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, the problem is when it's 2 and 3 times every single day and the other meals are deficient. So let's keep moving here. So here's a great point, and I want everybody, this is the biggest question, and I want everybody to really pay close attention here because this is a big deal. Right now, and I've explained this to people before, and they're thinking to themselves, but why are protein powders, shakes, bars, pancakes, muffins, why are they bad? Even when I explain what I just did the last 10 minutes, they want to know why they're bad. Well, here's why they're bad, okay? The reason they're bad, and this is exactly what protein pancakes look like that I've had people make, or I've had clients make, or whatever. They're loaded. They load them down with processed, refined fillers, baking powder, baking soda, extracts, artificial sweeteners, Molly McButter, Splenda, sugar-free syrup, sugar alcohols. Okay, so they load them down with all these processed and refined and artificial extracts. And what they do is, the reason that's bad and the reason that reduces the effectiveness of healthy food and in return reduces your fat burning potential is this. They reduce the principle of volumetrics. What does that mean? Well, it's one of the key components in my eating pattern, the principle of volumetrics. And what that means is that volumetrics refers to the principle or the idea that you want to get as much high volume of food as possible. One of the big reasons that my eating patterns are so successful programs is that we give you, everybody that starts is going to eat more food than they were. You're going to eat more food than you ever have. More healthy, nutritious food. Well, how is that possible? Well, you pick foods that take up a lot of space, that have a high volume, but also have enough proteins, carbs, and healthy fats in the right amounts at the right times of the day, every minute of the day when you need them during the day. So when you eat this and you add all these extracts and you add all these fillers, they're going to fill you up. They're going to suppress your appetite. You don't want to suppress your appetite. You want to provide satiety for your appetite through a ton of healthy food. Here's why. When you eat all these extracts and processed junk, it nullifies the thermogenic effect of digestion. Okay? What we want to do is we want to promote the thermogenic effect of digestion. People have no earthly idea how powerful, how profound the thermogenic effect of digestion is. People have no idea. They have no idea. Now, you're not going to be pouring in sweat after you eat a big cruciferous leafy green meal. You're not going to be out of breath, but you're going to burn a lot of energy. You're going to rev up your digestive system, which is going to rev up your metabolism. And your metabolism simply refers to the rate at which your body burns calories. That's what metabolism means. Or your metabolic rate, same thing. It's the rate at which your body burns calories. And if you eat the right foods in the right amounts, at the right times of the day, every minute of the day, when you're supposed to during the day, it will rev up your metabolism. You don't get that with these extracts. They actually fill you up. I can remember in the past when I would eat this years ago, you know, I couldn't finish it. The sugar alcohols will bloat your belly. You'll get queasy. You can't eat as much with all this artificial crap in there. Why it's so bad. Okay? Now you're asking, well, will this really matter? I mean, will this really matter? Yes! Yes, it will matter. You need every advantage you can get. I mean, when people sign up and people come to me, their bodies are so fat loss resistant, it's disgusting. They've trained and coerced their body to fight fat loss by doing tons of copious chronic cardio, eating tons of processed, refined, quote-unquote healthy foods. So you need that. We want to rip this out of your diet. We want to expunge this from your diet. Okay? And we're going to replace it with cruciferous, quality protein, whole natural foods in the right amounts based on your somatotype when you need them during the day. And when that happens, it will make a profound difference. Yes, it will. Okay? Now, here's another girl, and this girl whores out protein supplements as bad as the other one. And, you know, and both these girls look very good, nice figures, sexy little bodies, pretty faces, you know. So let me explain this ad. This ad is so deadly pernicious. This is even worse. This is probably the worst thing you can eat is a protein bar. It's got so much sugar alcohols and processed refined garbage in there that it will literally explode in your stomach and destroy your appetite, but not in a good way. It doesn't satisfy you because it has healthy fats in it. It destroys and crushes your appetite, leaving you gross and unfulfilled because it's full of so much fillers and sugar alcohols and garbage like that. All right? And fitness rags use these little sexy fitness models to make protein powder appear as, or make protein supplements appear as glamorous, sexy, hip, and trendy. You know, when a 6, 28, 24-year-old girl sees this image, she's going to go and buy a whole case of these. And she's going to eat these 3 times a day. The other 2 meals of the day, she'll probably have a chicken breast, she'll probably have egg whites and oats, and she'll probably have some green beans and chicken breast, and have these 3 times a day. And a lot of young girls, and even middle-aged or 30s and up women, do that. They really think that's healthy. They truly think having a refined product, processed, filler-filled, gross protein bar with like chicken and rice or chicken and broccoli 3 times a day is going to make them look like this girl. And what this image does is that this is an emotional image. This image is directing itself at girls probably in this girl's age range, which are low 20s, mid-20s, late 20s. And it taps into, there's no peanut butter and chocolate in this bar either. It's all artificial flavoring. So, and you don't want chocolate anyway, and if they claim to put it in there, that's even worse. So my point is that I actually ordered some supplements. I order supplements about once a month, a very limited short list. And this bar came as a free trial in the package I ordered. This actually exact same, that's why I picked it out for this slide here. And what happened was it literally blew up in my belly. It was the grossest thing. I literally couldn't. I took 1 bite of this, which is probably a 1/4 of the bar, and lost all my appetite. And it wasn't a good, satisfied feeling. It was a gross, yucky, bloated, sugar alcohol-induced feeling. So that's my whole point, is that don't buy into the hype. Don't be led astray. And so many people are. Well, let's keep moving here. You guys are doing great. By the way, for those just hopping on board, you can jump in on the right-hand, on your little panel, there's a chat bar. If you click on the plus sign, you can type in. And I'm going to type in chat here real quick while we're on the call, just so you know. And everybody should get this. Chat here. Chat here. So I'm going to put, you can ask questions here, and everybody will hopefully see that. So let's keep rolling here. So let's break this thing down, the protein conundrum. Well, what's it all about? How much do I eat anyway? Well, let's get to those questions, because that's why we're all here. So how much protein should I eat? All right. Well, we just talked about the fitness and supplement industry. They love to glamorize it. Okay. So they want you to eat as much as you can. And one other interesting point, this is a very important point that I want everybody to really pay close attention to, is that the You don't, how often, now think about this. In every supplement we've just shown, and I've just shown two really, they want to glamorize it with a fitness model, with a little fitness babe, with a bikini babe, whatever it is. And you always see that. And you never see healthy fats or carbohydrate supplements glamorized as much. Okay? In fact, and I even say it right here, one of the reasons is that fats and carbs in society, as it relates to nutrition, have a negative stigma. They're painted in an unflattering light. Well, we all know healthy fats have a place in eating. We all know that, and you got to have carbs. We know that. But you know, there's the zero carb diet, the Atkins diet, the low carb diet, the South Beach, all these diets that got so popular in the years past because they had almost no carbs. It was like super low carb diets. Carbs are painted in an unflattering light, and fats are too. Well, you don't ever see supplements for healthy fats or carbs with a sexy little fitness model promoting them. So protein does that though. And in my opinion, carbs and fats are more, that's what the success of your diet will hinge on more, how successful those are. So I don't want to get too off topic on that, but notice that society and the supplement industry doesn't have the negative stigma that carbs or fats do. Okay? And also, they always want to push the more is better mentality. If 1 scoop of protein powder is good, well, 3 scoops or 2 scoops is even better, and 3 scoops is phenomenal. Well, let me tell you something here, folks. Too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. And trust me, you can reach the point of diminishing returns very, very fast when it comes to protein powder. Okay? I've never found anyone who didn't eat enough protein powder or protein, ever. In the thousands of diets I've built and designed, and I see the evaluations where people list what they're doing, I've never found anyone that didn't eat enough. What I have found are people that ate too much protein. That's what I always find. Okay? What I do find are people that are eating too much protein, but not enough healthy carbs and not enough healthy fats. Okay? Now, here, let's get to the nuts and bolts here. This is probably why you're on board. How much protein I really need if I'm not trying to build up. And I've had a lot of women ask that. They say, well, how much protein do I need, you know, if I don't want to get, basically what they're asking is, how do I know I won't get too big? Well, let me be very clear. Let's clear one thing up. You don't build, if you eat an excess of protein, you don't build, that doesn't build extra muscle. Just so we're clear on that. Eating too much protein doesn't equal more muscle. What it does equal is more body fat, or the preventing of you from eating or of burning current body fat you have. And a better question to ask is, how many carbs and fats do I need? People think protein is like some magical pixie dust or magical gold dust powder they can sprinkle on their food and makes it super anabolic all of a sudden. Yeah, I mean, you guys just take the bait, hook, line, and sinker with these supplement ads. It's pretty sad. So the better question is, how many carbs and fats do you need? Okay? Here's the protein solution, and you guys aren't going to like what I say here, but I'm going to say it, and you will not like this, so brace yourself. You can't go wrong with 3 ounces of lean whole food protein per meal. I don't care if it's a piece of salmon, fresh fish here, a piece of orange roughy, some egg whites, a whole organic brown egg, turkey breast, chicken breast. I don't care if it's any of those. You can't go wrong with 3 ounces of whole food lean protein per meal. You cannot mess up with that. You cannot go wrong. Okay? But you should be concerned with the type of protein. A moderate scoop of the right type of protein powder once a day is okay. But I'd be willing to bet no one on here, 99% of people aren't using the right type of protein powder. I'd be willing to bet that. And they're using way too much, so it nullifies the effect. And a McDonald's hamburger, the patty, that's not the right type of protein. You know, cottage cheese, for some people it's okay, but 90% of the time is not the right protein. Greek yogurt is not the right type of protein. Cold cuts from your deli is not the right type of protein. You know how many women eat string cheese, yogurt, and cold cuts and think they're eating healthy? Guys, just because it's low fat or fat free doesn't mean it's healthy. Doesn't mean it's going to get you leaner. It's amazing. But it's got to be the right type of protein. All right, so we're finished with segment 1, and we got 2 more to go here. And we're going to transition right into this. I had said that at the start of the webinar that the 3 biggest problems I see with people that sign up with me that can't burn fat are too much protein. We've already covered that. And we've also seen people that basically cardio too much and basically running too much. And the third was caffeine and specifically coffee. So let's talk about the running aspect for the next few minutes here. And by the way, you guys can type in and ask questions if you want. And nobody will see your question. It's only I'll see it. So don't be bashful. Okay. So let me talk about this. The running makes you fat. Now, I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Cardio is more addictive than crystal meth. Let that sink in for a minute. This is a very, very powerful slide, and I'm going to make some amazing points here. Now, what are some keys that make this worse, that worsen, that heighten the profoundly pernicious effects of the addictive nature of cardio, specifically distance running? Let's talk about that. Number 1, there are 3 keys that make this such a profoundly addictive and damaging thing. Running early in the morning. Running before you eat, basically. Okay? Waking up and running. Just like this person here in this picture. They're running. It's early morning sunrise. Okay? Number 2, drinking coffee or an energy drink, or worse, a fat burner pill, running early before you eat. Okay? So you wake up, you skip food, you don't eat, which you should always eat when you wake up, and then you drink your coffee, then you run. And the third one is running chronic distance running, not acutely. You know, going for a jog after you eat breakfast once a month or twice a month, that's fine. Having a cup of coffee, you know, maybe 3 times a month, that's fine. Okay? But people don't do it this way. They do it chronically. They do it years and years. Pernicious effects. Why is this run early morning? Well, about 10 years ago. Open water over the far metabolism, and if you've ever run for like 25 miles and the impact portray, I mean, you get your ankles taped and everything. Soothing, easy, chronic degradation, anything but the wrong way to do it. Now, I'm going to read through this one time, and you can read along too if you like, and then we'll for 26 miles, it's not an adventure. Well, and you look up here, which is pretty good. You don't, 2 months is plenty. If you're 26% body fat, then you probably, you'll need longer. But so here's the goals, and we read the goals in her letter, or her email rather, and I actually emailed her back to confirm the goals. So these are she has 2 goals. Primary goal. She wants to improve her time in the marathon. She wants to have a better time. Okay? Anybody who runs a race, they want to do what? They want to improve their time. They want to place better. They want to run it faster. Same thing. Okay. Second of all, and this is a secondary goal, not as important, but still important, because it's a goal. She wants to burn a few pounds of body fat. It might be 2 pounds, probably I think 4 to 6 would be better. Okay? Because as we know, if you a pound of fat, if you've seen, I should have put a photo of it up, but a pound of fat, if you've ever seen like one of those artificial pounds of fat you can see in a gym sometimes, they're like almost twice the size of your fist. If you had a little hand, maybe 3 times. So my point is that you lose 4 pounds of fat, that's a lot of fat you've lost off your body. So if you're a female and you weigh 130, 140, even 150 or up, 4 or 5 pounds of fat, that's a lot of weight. Or as she said, less excess baggage. So that losing the fat in and of itself will help you have a better time. So here's the solution. Here's the answer to her question. Number 1, being 9 months out, this is our goal. And this email was just sent a few weeks ago, by the way, so it's a current email. Okay, so number 1, our solution is 1 month, get out all that running your coach as you're doing, and do 3 total body lifting sessions per week. That's it. 3 per week. And I would design this. I would send this to you. I already have a program it's great for this, that I put everybody on when they first sign up, because it's highly effective and it's the minimalist amount. So 3 45-minute lifting sessions a week. No running, no sprinting, no hills, no nothing. And 2 metabolic sessions a week. What do you mean by metabolic? All I mean by metabolic is ground-based, like think of a frogger or a burpee or a split squat jump or a mountain climber or a jumping jack. And it's detailed more in the program, but my point is that twice a week of that, if done according to my program, even though it's less, and those are just 12 to 15 minutes long, they're very brief sessions, that will give you better cardiovascular benefits than running hills, sprints, distance 4 days a week. How? We'll get to the how in a minute. But by doing this and executing a customized eating pattern, this will give you this is the 1 month solution. So do this, execute this, and eat this for 1 month. And after that 1 month, you'll be several pounds of fat leaner. And you're not going to believe this, you will actually improve your running time from this alone. Your running time will actually, how is that humanly possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. I cannot tell you right now how many people have been chronic distance runners. And by the way, all the chronic distance runners and cardio addicts that sign up with me, only about, less than, probably 20% of them are able to buy into what I do. Even though they bought a program, 85, 90% of them just quit. They revert back to their way of training. They keep doing their 6-day-a-week runs because it's an emotional addiction. Yeah, I can't tell you how many nurses, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, MDs, doctors that I've had sign up with me in the past year, probably over 20 of them. And some of them buy in, but my point is you have smart people, you have educated people, high IQ individuals that when explained to them, they still don't follow directions. Well, why is that? Well, the reason why is, it's like we discussed in the slide with the sunrise, with the running image of the sunrise. It's emotional. They're not able to grasp it. It's not an IQ issue. It's an emotional addiction, endorphin, habitual issue. Does that make sense? You know, we know drugs are bad. We know that, but drugs are still addictive. The problem is society tells people exercise every day. You know, there was that after-school special, 30 minutes of exercise a day. Yeah, you don't need to exercise every day. You need an off day. Get away from the exercise and focus on the food. Food's more important than exercise. People are like, I feel great after I exercise. You know what? You'll feel better after a healthy meal. You will, okay? Now, 99% of people don't know how to eat healthy. Let me be clear on that. So if you don't feel healthy after a meal and don't feel good after a healthy meal, then you're not eating right. So now, how will this actually improve the running time? I got off topic, so bear with me. I've had the people that do buy in and do stop chronic distance running when they sign up and give it a good month, maybe 2 months. Some people might need 3 months of this type of programming to crank up the body fat loss because they've damaged their fat loss metabolism so badly, or they're so fat loss resistant. Anyway, what they'll say is that when they return to their distance running after a week sabbatical from it, following the 3-day-a-week weights, 2-day-a-week metabolic eating pattern, they'll say, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. I ran faster, felt better, and I haven't done distance running in a month. How in the world is this possible, Jeff? And I'll say, well, 2 reasons. 2 reasons. Number one, you have less fat on your body. You have less extra baggage. You have less adipose tissue. You have less non-functional mass on your body. Okay. Number 2 is that when you train, when you recruit a metabolic system or an energy system that is deficient, it will supersede, it will carry over, it will overlap, it will spill over and reach over into the energy system, cardio system that is already efficient. If all you're doing is hills and distance running, a ground-based metabolic circuit will wipe your ass out. It will annihilate you. Not because it's 45 minutes long, because it's not, but only because it's 12 minutes long, and because you're recruiting musculature that you don't recruit when you run. And you're recruiting energy systems, metabolic, within the body, that you don't recruit when you run. okay? And when you build that up, because it's so woefully, I don't care if you can run for an hour straight or do hills, 20 hills in a row, I don't care. This will wear your ass out in a good way, not in an overtraining way. It'll wear your ass out because it's recruiting areas in your system that are deficient. When you bring up a, let me get a sip of water here, bear with me. When you recruit areas that are deficient, they spill over and carry over and help your already efficient areas. That's why. Okay. Now, the third section here of today is killing the caffeine addiction. And the caffeine addiction is alive and well, and it's destroying people's fat loss ability. And let me be very clear on something so we all understand this. I'll let the thing come in here. By the way, I don't see any questions, so don't be scared to type in questions in the chat bar to the right. With that being said, why is it bad? Well, let me be clear on this, is that decaf is fine. So the coffee is not bad. It's the caffeine in the coffee that's bad. And well, why is it bad? Well, let's talk about why it's bad. Caffeine is very taxing on the adrenal glands. Now, the people that have problems aren't the people that have a pumpkin spice latte once a month or every other week. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people that can't go through the day, that can't avoid their afternoon siesta without having a shot of caffeine. That you can't, when you can't make it to work without your cup of joe, without your espresso, without your coffee, without your 4-hour energy shot. We'll stick with coffee here because I found it to be the most addictive with women. You got a problem, okay? And it's very taxing on the adrenal glands. And I always tell people, I get these women that have been drinking coffee every day for the last 20 years. And I tell them, I said, your adrenal glands could probably double for a pair of prunes. They're probably just withered up and worn out to nothing. Next of all, caffeine is not it is a stimulant. It's not a fuel source. People think if it gives you energy, it's fuel. It's not fuel. It's a stimulant. Food is fuel. Caffeine is a stimulant. Food is good. Food is a form of energy that can burn off as fuel. Caffeine is not. And food you can keep, you got to have. In fact, it's good to keep eating food. Caffeine, a stimulant, is bad to keep taking. Okay? Next off, it pulls from cellular reserves. Okay, if you don't eat after, if you don't eat for 3 hours or 5 hours, you might get hungry, but you can still keep going. It's not good to, but, you can still keep pushing past a certain point if you've been living a balanced life, if you've been living a balanced nutrition plan, because you have cellular reserves. Okay, well, a stimulant pulls from those cellular reserves. Okay, also, and this is important, when I played college football, I can remember I would get up in the morning and I would be aching and pain every day. I mean, I'd wake up Monday and thinking, oh, my heel hurt, my knees ached, and I would intentionally only take Advil twice a week. I would take it Tuesday and Wednesday. Or I'd take it Wednesday, I think just once a week, Wednesday. It was after the Tuesday practice because that was the toughest practice of the day. And I'd only take it once a week because I knew, even back then as a dumb college kid, I knew that if I took it every day, it'd wear off. The effects would diminish. My body would adjust to it. Same thing with caffeine. So what happens is people drink it every day and they don't get the stimulation rush. And so what happens is they start having coffee twice a day. And then they start having espresso shots. And then, because they don't get enough sleep, they're not eating correct food, they're not following a smart nutrition plan, they have to revert to, they keep their coffee. But then they go to energy drinks and then fat loss energy pills. And they do all this, and they're just destroying themselves. And it leads to a chronic dependency on caffeine, a chronic dependency. And that's when you're in a bad state of affairs. And bottom line, if you get enough sleep and you eat enough of the right healthy foods, you won't need this. Oh, I have to have my coffee. If you can't make it through the day, if you have to have a cup of coffee to prevent your your stabbing, pounding headache, dude, you got problems. You have a badass chemical addiction. Caffeine is a drug. Now, it does serve a purpose, and if you're doing a contest prep diet or a photo shoot prep or a 1-month blitz to get lean for something, it can be structured inappropriately. I mean, I do it in some of my programs for my people, but it's structured and it's taken acutely, not chronically. We get on it, get a result, get the hell off of it. Does that make sense? Okay, that's the end of the webinar. That's really the end of the webinar here. Yep, let's see. So I want anybody who would like to come on and ask a question, and I'll put you on the microphone. You're absolutely welcome to come on and ask any question. I will allow it to come on, or if you want to chat a question. I got a few questions to answer here, I got about 7 or 8 questions I'm going to answer in a second. And also, go to my Facebook page. I'm going to type in my Facebook page here, and tell me if you like the webinar. I'm going to type it in, www.facebook.com/WET FTRAINING. I hope I spelled that right. See if that works. So go to my Facebook page, and that's the best way to communicate with me. That's the best way to, I mean, if you disagree, if you didn't like something on this webinar, go tell me. Say, hey, the webinar sucked. Hopefully you won't say that. Hopefully you like it. Or say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you talked about XYZ, or I'm glad you talked about, you know, the running, or I'm glad you talked about whatever else. Let me know that. I'm interested to hear. So I got a question coming in. Let me answer the first question here. This is from Michelle Poole, I think. Michelle, let's see what she's asking. Yeah, Michelle Poole. She's asking, should whey protein powders be avoided because of the dairy? No, dairy has, no, not at all. That has nothing to do with it. And and thank you for asking that, Michelle. But let me answer that more extensively. The short answer is no, absolutely not. In fact, I'm a fan of protein powder, the right kind, in the right amounts, at the right time of the day. Guys, protein powder's okay, but people abuse it so badly. And I'm not picking on you, Michelle, but let me actually address this. Is that this is an example of, and I'm not picking on you, but I'm going to give you some tough love. This is an example of paralysis by analysis. You're trying to overthink things. You don't need to understand. I've already explained why it's bad, Michelle. Did I say anything about whey protein or the dairy of whey protein? Did I say anything about that in the webinar? No, I didn't. So people have these weird, they try to play Sherlock Holmes. They yell the magnifying glass, I put the houndstooth cap on, and they try to figure stuff out. I didn't know. That has nothing to do with it. You're overthinking things, okay? So, in fact, you know, it's not necessarily the type of protein, it's the brand of protein and the grade of protein. But thank you for asking that. I do appreciate that question. Does anyone else have any questions? You can type it in the question bar or the chat bar. We got a question here from, who is this from? Cynthia. Where is she from here? Cynthia is from Woodland Hills, California. Cynthia is asking, let's see, I've been running 5 miles a day, 3 days a week for the last 9 months, and I can't lose body fat, or I've only lost 1 pound. I'm always hungry, even though I eat healthy foods. This makes sense. So that wasn't a question, but she's just making a comment. Well, thank you, Cynthia, and that's right. And let me ask Cynthia and everybody else. What did you learn from the slideshow today, from the webinar? Did the webinar answer your question? Did it explain why running is not the answer? Do you understand now why it's so pernicious? And Cynthia's saying yes, so that's good. We have a question from, who is this from? Diane. I'm asking. So she's asked a good question. I can't read it. That got cut off here. Sorry, guys. Well, we're running out of time here, so we're about to get cut off. But do we have any more questions? If not, please go to my Facebook page and comment. Let me know how you liked it. Go to my Facebook page and let me know if you liked the webinar. Let me know what you learned from it. And you can contact me on my Facebook page. Just post it on the wall. Thanks, guys. Have a happy New Year. Hope you guys had an awesome Christmas. And stay strong. And ask any questions you need on my Facebook page. Thanks. Eat well. Stop running.